At the sound of the bell, I am centered on the divine. For I know, as well as all here, that the Spirit that dwells within is the expanding light of love. Spirit, the divine within all of us, is a light to all. That we expand on this knowledge and joy and hope for this season and all the year, and that we continue to grow in that light and know that divine that is within is our true home and love. For this knowledge and other knowledge, I say thank you. Thank you for this growth, this understanding, and the wisdom that comes from this internal understanding as I, as well as all here, grow in that divine love. I release this treatment knowing it is so, that I continue this path to the divine light that is within, and I grow in that knowledge and continue to reflect that beauty that is in all. And as I say, as all say, and so it is. And now, Reverend Judith is away down south enjoying her family. We have Reverend Bob to partake our understanding on the trust. I trust the divine. Reverend Bob.
Nothing like having a coughing episode during the treatment. How many of you know that there is a power for good in the universe and you can use it? And it doesn't work against colds. With treatment, a cold lasts 7 days. Without treatment, a cold lasts 7 days. Here's the difference. With treatment, you have something else on your mind other than the cold. And that's a good idea. And so when we think about how divine mind works, first off, we need to know how our own mind works. And our own mind has a tendency to want to solve everything on its own and its own terms. How many of you bought a lottery ticket and said, God, if you're out there, okay, this is the week. Whose terms is that on? Well, it could be that the universe wants for you to win. I mean, I know it wants for me to win. But it also could be that you're not ready. And so a lot of what we ask divine mind to work for, towards us, to help us with, we're not ready for, even though we think we are ready for it. Now, how do I know that? Well, there's been some very interesting research done on people who have won the lottery. You know, about 2% of them are happy. The rest of them lost all that they had plus more. Some died. One died on the beach drinking way too much because he could afford to drink way too much on the beach. One squandered all of his money, tried out all kinds of drugs, and became a serious addict because he could. And so the implication is that just because you want it doesn't mean that necessarily you're listening for that inner voice that says, yeah, you're ready for this. This could happen to you. We're often not ready when we think we're ready. I applied for a job one time and I got it about a year and a half before I was ready. Took them 3 months to figure it out. A year and a half later, when I was much more skilled, I went back and applied for the same job, different company, and got it and kept it. I was ready in my heart. I was ready, I thought, in terms of my set of skills. But you see, what we have to be able to do is listen to divine mind and also listen to what our skills are, what our abilities are. It isn't just a matter of turning it over and standing back and saying, I did treatment for it. You're going to have to do more than that. If you weigh 100 pounds more than you'd like to, chances are with treatment and a little less food, you'll do well, real well. But you're going to have to change something. You're going to have to exercise. You could do treatment while you exercise, that it isn't terribly painful. But the truth is you're going to have to do something, and you're going to have to be ready. And so one of the more difficult things about our teaching is that it requires discipline. It isn't something that you can just do because you came to church one Sunday and somebody said, just do treatment. There's a power for good in the universe. You can use it. It'll work through you. Bingo, it's done. That's good for 30-minute programs on television in black and white in the 50s. It's not good anymore. So what you have to do is to say, okay, if I were going to do this in earnest, if I were going to do this truly, if I were going to do this with my heart and soul, how would I do it? I'd position myself for the thing to happen I want to have happen. I would practice all the skills that I need in order for me to be ready when that wonderful thing happens. If I were to win the lottery, I guess what I could do is run up and down the street and say, I won, I won, I won. And before long, I'd have a following. They wouldn't be going in the same direction I'm going. They'd be going in the direction of my ticket. And they'd all want some. So I guess if I were going to win, before that, I'd have to say, what would a winner do? How would a winner behave? Am I behaving like the thing I want to be? Am I taking the position that this is my life? Or am I acting as if, well, that'd be good. I'll treat for it. Sure. Yeah, I'd like that. And a lot of us will treat that way. When I say treat, for those of you that are brand new to our teaching, we look at prayer as a kind of treatment for an outcome that we would like to see happen in our lives. The difference between prayer in our center and prayer in a lot of centers is that we don't have any begging. We simply recognize the truth, and that is all things are possible if we would choose. We get to choose. But being that that's true does not mean you'll get yours because you said so. It may mean that you're not ready yet. And so the first thing we want to pay attention to is our readiness for that which is the divine to work through us. Now, one of the things that's interesting is that the divine mind, divine intelligence, has a fingerprint everywhere. We're often looking for it in our experience. I close my eyes, I wait, and I say, okay, God, that's what I'd like. And I'm going to affirm that it's already true. And I open my eyes and I look around, and not a single thing has changed. I still cough, I still have my cold, don't feel good. Okay, I'll do it harder this time. And I really do it hard this time. I can almost feel the conclusion. And I open my eyes and have to go get some Kleenex. My 2 dogs look at me and say, what are you doing? I'm treating for good. Did you take anything for the pain? No, I don't need anything for that. Take anything for the congestion? No. Did you go outside a lot in the cold without your jacket on? Yeah, your mother told you about that. I know. In other words, I did a lot of things to prepare for the cold, but none of the things to prepare for wholeness, wellness, and perfection. But I'm waiting for divine mind to feed me, take care of me, and straighten things out. It's kind of like, you tell your kids, don't go out in the snow without your mittens. I don't need that mittens. They come back a little while later, their hands are pink, and they're cold. I'm cold. What did I tell you? I know. I didn't remember. See, we tend not to prepare. And in the lack of preparation, we tend to get the result that looks an awful lot like our lack of preparation. So if we listen to how it works in the universe, there's evidence that there's a divine intelligence everywhere. This is a really interesting thing that I think some of you probably already know, and that is that when an insect decides to attack a group of trees, the first tree responds by being attacked. The second tree begins to prepare for that attack. And by the time it gets to the fifth tree, the tree has done everything it can to fight the attack. Now, how does that work? See, here's the evidence that there's something greater going on than a single tree holds. If every one of us is a tree, but we have one mind, which is what we say is true, then after a couple of trees fall, the rest of the trees stand strong because they know they can't go anywhere, and they know that there's a mind that's running them. And they do. It really does literally run them. Did you notice in the ant colony that every ant knows what to do? And when any ant gets killed off, another ant is created to fulfill that job. And there are no extra jobs in the ant colony, and there are no unimportant jobs in the ant colony. But what happens is there's a greater mind operating through the ant colony than you would necessarily have thought. So how does it work? Well, if we get that our minds are connected at a very deep level, then our listening has to be at that very deep level too, and saying, I know that mind working through everything on the planet is working through me. It wouldn't separate itself from me. I wouldn't get left out of the equation. So first I would get to know this at a very deep level. It is true. I am one with this infinite mind